Reading through the Bible in a year, November 8th, 2 Kings chapter 21, Hebrews 3, Hosea 14, and Psalm 139. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah, and he did what was evil in the sight of Yahweh, according to the abominations of the nations whom Yahweh dispossessed before the sons of Israel. Indeed, he rebuilt the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and he erected altars for Baal and made an Asherah, as Ahab king of Israel had done, and worshipped all the host of heaven and served them. And he built altars in the house of Yahweh, of which Yahweh had said, "In Jerusalem I will put my name." Indeed, he built altars for all the host of heaven. There we go. In the two courts of the house of Yahweh. He even made his son pass through the fire, practiced soothsaying and interpreted omens, and dealt with mediums and spiritists. He did much that was evil in the sight of Yahweh, provoking him to anger. Then he put the graven images of Asherah, which he had made, in the house of Yahweh, which Yahweh had said to David and to Solomon his son, "In this house and in Jerusalem I have chosen from all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. And I will not make the foot of Israel wander any more from the land which I gave to their fathers, if only they will be careful to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all that the law that my servant Moses commanded them." But they did not listen, and Manasseh, the king, led them astray in order to do even more evil than all the nations whom Yahweh destroyed before the sons of Israel. Then Yahweh spoke by the hand of his slaves, the prophets, saying, "Because Manasseh, king of Judah, has done these abominations, he has done more evil than the Amorites who were before him, and has made Judah sin with his idols. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, Behold, I am bringing such calamity on Jerusalem and Judah that whoever hears of it, both his ears will tingle. And I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria and the level of the house of Ahab. And I will wipe Jerusalem as one wipes a dish. He wipes it and turns it upside down. And I will abandon the remnant of my inheritance and give them into the hand of their enemies. And they will become as plunder and spoil to all their enemies, because they have done what is evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger, since the day their fathers came out of Egypt, even to this day. Moreover, Manasseh shed very much innocent blood until he had filled Jerusalem from one end to the other. Besides his sin with which he made Judah sin, in doing what is evil in the sight of Yahweh. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and his sin which he sinned, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzzah. And Amon his son became king in his place. Amon was 22 years old when he became king. He reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. Oh, this just skips ahead to the next one. Going back to the text, rereading verse 19. Amon was 22 years old when he became king. He reigned 2 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Meshullemeth, the daughter of Haraz of Jotbah. And he did what was evil in the sight of Yahweh, as Manasseh his father had done. And he walked in all the way that his father had walked, and served the idols that his father had served, and worshipped them. So he forsook Yahweh, the God of his fathers, and did not walk in the way of Yahweh. Then the servants of Amon conspired against him, and put the king to death in his own house. Then the people of the land struck down all those who had conspired against King Amon, and all the people of the land made Josiah his son king in his place. Now the rest of the acts of Amon, which he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And he was buried in his grave in the garden of Uzzah. And Josiah, his son, became king in his place. Now Hebrews chapter 3. The author of Hebrews continues, Therefore, holy brothers, partakers of a heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our confession, Jesus, who was faithful to him who appointed him, as Moses also was in all his house. For he has been counted worthy of more glory than Moses, insomuch as the builder of the house has more honor than the house. For every house is built by someone, but the builder of all things is God. Now Moses was faithful in all his house as a servant, for a testimony of those things which were to be spoken later. But Christ was faithful as a son over his house, whose house we are, if we hold fast our confidence in the boast of our hope. Therefore, just as the Holy Spirit says, Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as when they provoked me, as in the day of trial in the wilderness, where your fathers tried me by testing me, and saw my works for 40 years. Therefore I was angry with this generation, and said, They always go astray in their heart. And they did not know my ways. As I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. See to it, brothers, that there be not in any one of you an evil, unbelieving heart that falls away from the living God. But encourage one another day after day, as long as it is still called today, so that none of you will be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. For we have become partakers of Christ, if we hold fast the beginning of our assurance firm until the end. While it is said, Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, as when they provoked me. For who provoked him when they had heard? Indeed, did not all those who came out of Egypt, led by Moses? And with whom was he angry for 40 years? Was it not those who sinned, whose corpses fell in the wilderness? And with whom was he angry? I already said that one. And to whom did he swear that they would not enter into his rest? But to those who were disobedient. So we see that they were not able to enter because of unbelief, a lack of faith. They didn't trust in God that he would do these things. We mentioned that as we read through the account of Exodus, from Exodus all the way through to the end of Deuteronomy. Let's move on now to Hosea 14. Return, O Israel, to Yahweh your God, for you have stumbled in your iniquity. Take words with you, and return to Yahweh. Say to him, Forgive all iniquity, and take what is good, that we may pay in full the fruit of our lips. Assyria will not save us. We will not ride on horses, nor will we say again, Our God, to the work of our hands. For in you the orphan finds compassion. I will heal their turning away from me. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from them. I will be like the dew to Israel. He will flourish like the lily, and he will take root like the cedars of Lebanon. His shoots will go forth, and his splendor will be like the olive tree, and his fragrance like the cedars of Lebanon. Those who live in his shadow will again raise grain. No idea where my brain was going there. Starting back over, those who live in his shadow will again raise grain, and they will flourish like the vine. His name of remembrance will be like the wine of Lebanon. Ephraim, what more have I to do with idols? It is I who answer and look after you. I am like a luxuriant cypress. From me comes your fruit. Whoever is wise, so let him discern these things. Whoever is discerning, let him know them. For the ways of Yahweh are right, and the righteous will walk in them, but transgressors will stumble in them. Concluding today in Psalm 139. O Yahweh, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You understand my thought from afar. You scrutinize my path and my lying down, and are intimately acquainted with all my ways. Even before there is a word on my tongue, behold, O Yahweh, you know it all. You have enclosed me behind and before, and you have put your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is too high. I cannot attain to it. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, the place of the dead, behold, you are there. If I lift up the wings of the dawn, if I dwell in the remotest part of the sea, even there your hand will lead me, and your right hand will lay hold of me. If I say, surely the darkness will bruise me, and the light around me will be night, even the darkness is not too dark for you. The night is as bright as the day. Darkness and light are alike to you. For you formed my inward parts. You wove me together in my mother's womb. I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in secret, and intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes have seen my unshaped substance. And in your book, all of them were written, the days that were formed for me, as yet when there was not one of them. How precious are your thoughts to me, O God! How vast the sum of them! If I should count them, they would outnumber the sand. When I awake, I am still with you. Oh, that you would slay the wicked, O God! O men of bloodshed, depart from me. For they speak against you wickedly, and your enemies take your name in vain. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Yahweh? And do I not revile those who rise up against you? I hate them with the utmost hatred. They have become my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxious thoughts, and see if there be any hurtful way in me, and lead me in the everlasting way. That's all for today. That's all the reading and all the notes. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.